All makeup is an optical illusion. Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be showing you a detailed look at how I achieve my nice archy eyebrows. So if you want to see how I do this, you're in the right place. Keep watching. I'm going to use several products today. Two most important products that I'm going to be using are the Anastasia Beverly Hills Brow Dip Pomade in medium brown, my favorite go-to for eyebrows. And I'm going to be using a brow powder. This one is the New York Color Browser Brush on Brow Kit in Brunette. That's a tongue twister. I like this one really well though. Has just a good shade of powder and a decent wax in here for taming things. Brushes that I'm going to definitely need. I'm going to have a spoolie brush for combing my eyebrows. I'm going to be applying the Anastasia Beverly Hills with, this is an E.L.F. small angled brush. Notice just that it's very, very skinny, which lets me get a nice sharp line. I'm going to be applying the New York Color, the brow powder with, it's another E.L.F. small angled brush, but notice that this one is fatter. Quality controls, folks, quality controls. But this one's fatter, so it's going to pick up a little bit more product. I'm not going to be able to get as sharp of a line, which is why I'm not going to use this for my tails, but I would use this to do the powder on the fronts of my brows. And if I decide to go in and carve out my brows, I'm going to go in with either another small angled brush. This is a USpicy, but it's very similar. These are very, very handy for eyebrows. Or a USpicy concealer brush. I don't mind getting these dampened with the concealer that I'm going to be using, which will be the NYX Waterproof Gotcha Covered Concealer in shade Ivory. This is a little bit too dark for under my eyes. I don't really care for it there. It also has a tendency to crease, but it does very well in letting you carve your brows. It's a little bit thicker than most concealers that I've found. So first I'm going to go in with the Anastasia Beverly Hills Brow Dip Pomade medium brown. And I'm just going to load up my brush. You can see this one is not much longer for the world. I'm going to load up my brush so where you can see that. And I'm just going to grab a little bit of product and I'm going to try to just remove as much as I can from the brush on its own. And then I'm going to have, this has like little fibers in it. I don't know if you can see that. So I'm going to take a tissue, another necessary part of doing eyebrows, and I'm going to just clean that off and remove those thicker, flakier bits so that I can have a nice, smooth line on my brush. And I'm going to start with my thinner eyebrow. This one has a glorious hole right there. So I usually like to start by framing this eyebrow first because this one has a little bit more hairs to it and it seems easier in my experience to make this one match this one versus the other way around. Personal preference, whatever works for you. So I'm going to take the flat side of my brush and I am going to start, I like to start by nailing out the arch. So that even right there, you can see is already giving me more of a definition for that shape. And I want my arch to be very dark. I want my tail to be dark. I don't really want the fronts of my brows to be as dark. A nice sharp line. That's what that brush does for you. I don't really want the fronts of my brows to be as dark, so I start with the tail of the brow so that I have less product on my brush when I go to do the line at the front. I'm going to draw a line at the front, pull it up, connect it in with that arch. And I'm going to thicken up that tail just a little bit. And I'm going to draw another line at the top of my brow just to frame that. But I'm not going to go all the way to the front of my brow. If I go all the way to the front of my brow, that's going to have a tendency to box that in and give me that L shape or that rectangular shape that the internet will yell at you for. So I'm not going to go all the way to the front. Notice I'm not reloading this brush. I'm just using what's still on it. And I'm spreading that around because I don't want this to get too thick. I don't want this to get too dark. And notice I'm just making that curve and I'm filling in the part of my brow that doesn't really have hairs. And honestly, that's turning out today. I could probably skip the powder altogether. I'm just darkening those hairs just ever so slightly with the remaining product that is on my brush. And I think that's a good shape. So in between, I'm going to clean my brush completely off. I'm going to straighten it out. I'm going to pull it flat between my fingers to make sure that I got that nice, fine, thin edge, which you can see. And I'm going to do the same thing on the other side, observing symmetry and making this side match this side. Again, starting near my arch, shaping where my arch is going to be. I happen to have fairly archy brows, so this may not be exactly the order in which you like to do yours. This is just what I've found works well for me. All right. Again, just darkening up those hairs just a little bit with the remaining product that I have on my brush. Those look pretty good. Now, most days I would just stop there, but I do want to demonstrate the rest using the powder and also the carving. So a lot of days I would just stop here, but today's not one of those days. So I'm going to use my spoolie brush. I'm going to just comb the fronts of those up. Just make those a little bit smoother. Is nice and going in direction. And I'm going to grab another one of my angled brushes, the fluffier, fatter one. And I'm going to go into my powder and get just a little bit. I'm going to tap that off because we don't want to get too much. We don't want this to turn into a rectangle. We don't want to box this in. We want to fade this in. So we don't want this to be as dark here. And I'm just barely going to touch those hairs, just barely. I don't really want to go all the way down to the skin. If you want your eyebrows to be darker, you can, but I'm a fabulous bleach blonde. Of course, I need a little more bleach at the moment. Hopefully I'll get you a video on that. So I don't want them to be too dark, is where I'm going here. I'm going to fill that in just a little bit. This one's still just a little bit lighter. It's all about symmetry, folks. Make them match. Alrighty. Now, again, I normally would have stopped at this stage. I don't always carve my brows, but let's go for it while we're here. Just use my spoolie again to blend out my powder so that it meets seamlessly with the pomade that I added before. This is a good stage to do a wax or a brow gel if those are what you want to do. I'm still looking for a good brow gel that I actually like, that doesn't just make a mess. So I'm skipping that stage. But if I find a good one, I'll let you know. So I'm going to take just a little bit of, since I've decided I want to carve, I'm going to take just a little bit of my concealer. I'm going to put it on the back of my hand. If you have a good makeup palette that you want to use, you can do that too, but I usually just use the back of my hand. And I'm going to take this flat brush, another flat brush. This is the third flat brush. Don't mix your products for this or you're going to end up making a muddy, muddy mess. I told you, you cannot have too many brushes, and this is part of why. And I'm just going to flatten this out, and I'm going to make a nice little edge. Again, a nice flat edge out of that I can draw and carve with. And I have to move a little bit closer to my mirror for this, but I'm just going to go on the outside where I drew those before, and I'm going to make that nice, sharp, crisp line with the concealer. You see the difference between those two? Some people like to just go on the underside. Some people do both. I kind of split the difference. I don't like to do the fronts. Again, I don't like extra products on my forehead, and I find that it just kind of glows whenever I put extra there. So I don't do the fronts of my brows, but I do often if I am carving, which again isn't every day. I do just the tails. I'm just take my finger and blend that out just a little bit. I don't want that sharp line. The outside edge, I just want that sharp line up next to my eyebrow. So with that close, hopefully you can see the difference between those two. And I think it does make a difference, but it is an extra step. And I think it, again, looks really good, but it's probably not something that I'm going to start doing every single day. But I like it. Be fancy. There. Again, just kind of use your fingertip. Blend that out just a little bit, because of course you do want that shape, that chiseled line, but you don't want that stark on the outside edge. You just want that up next to your eyebrow. So that's eyebrows, folks. Oh, what a difference they make. So I'm back. I finished doing the rest of my makeup, so this is the completed look. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like and subscribe to keep up with all of my videos, and I'll see you in the next one.